So here we are at the Battle of Beneventum. I think around turn 4. Jockeying for position still going on. We got the Imperiate slingers came forward and caused a little bit of damage to the Legionnaires. They're going to probably get pushed back, but they can withdraw as long as the cav doesn't hit them. We got Greek cav, light cav, and elephants coming into play to try to handle that cav. Try to keep it off the phalanx's flank, but that's kind of, I'm not sure how likely that's going to be. I think the phalanx is going to get hit there. I feel like I swung my flank out a little too far. And one of the problems is it's so hard to move the damn things that trying to maneuver them into position at this close a range is just hard. I really should have taken the time to set them up early on, but this rough terrain would make that difficult. And it would give the had I been in this area, the Romans would get the alert at the same time, and it would give them significant time to start preparing. As it is, they're still a little scattered with these lines broken up, and this just really chaos, but nothing much can be done about that. The Triarii trying to form something up in the back. Heavy cav, on the other hand, is the Greek heavy cav is really threatening the Roman right flank here. Beginning to get these phalanxes into place. They're facing the wrong way. They're going to have to not only move out of column, but then they'll be facing that way. So then they'll have to do an about phase, which is an expensive maneuver. But it's slow. You know, slowly this battle is starting to develop. There's still some significant forces. I don't know if medium infantry can be called that significant, but there are forces still available that haven't come back all the way up to the line yet anyhow. That's going to anchor kind of the left flank here of that phalanx. I really should have taken my time more with these guys though, I think. Alright, so engagement begins. One of the tribunes, not this guy, but this guy down here, fired off a couple of his cav and swept against the flank of hoplites that I've been able to move into place to protect the phalanx, and with mixed results. Routed one of the hoplites, but one of the cav units routed. And, you know, I mean, honestly, the Romans are not going to have cav superiority here, and they're not going to be able to keep that position for long. What they have to do is set themselves up so that they have some sort of terrain advantage. The hills aren't terribly valuable. The woods are. Perhaps the edge of the map is. But, yeah, they don't have a great anchor here. The fort can be an anchor, there's no question there. To prevent them from facing what amounts to a cavalry attack. So, they're going to have to be very careful. Alright, let's see. And we see the Greek light cav chased off the remaining Roman cav. Also see a better deployment on those phalanxes, but they had to do some wheeling type maneuvers, which cost them some cohesion hit each. And they also are now fairly close to getting shot at by those, getting shot up by those Scorpios. So they could be in a dangerous position. The Romans don't want to leave the hill, not so much because it gives any kind of great defensive bonus. Look at the terrain chart here. An upslope doesn't really do much, and I don't think it has a shock effect. Oh yeah, it does have a shock effect, yeah. But primarily because the heavy infantry moving down the hill, it takes a cohesion hit. Now, if they do, oh no, legions do not, do they? No, legions don't. That's cool. Okay, I forgot they're legions, not heavies. It's been a little bit. So, they will move forward, I presume. They've had other things to do. But they've got to get rid of these Epriot slingers and chase them away. The problem is they can't really do much to them. They can move towards them, and then those will get an orderly withdrawal and shoot them. So it's almost as dangerous as to go chasing them. Well, it's probably more dangerous to go chasing them than to just take their medicine standing on the hill getting slung at. But they do have a slight defensive bonus by being on the hill. I'm far more worried about the Roman extension out here and the heavy cav. Luckily for them, the Greek leader did not get momentum and was not able to launch the cav attack yet. But it's slow going deploying out of this fort. And I think probably I made a mistake extending out onto the plain at all. Oh, we don't have much left. Just Pyrrhus, I think. Okay, well, one thing to note, those little cav fights, cav won't pursue cav off the map in this particular battle. It's one of the special rules. Probably because of the fort, the fixed defense, I don't know. Alright, what else do we have? We have these archers are low on missiles, and they can't replenish them because they're in range of the Scorpio. As long as that and line of sight. As long as that's the case, they simply cannot reload. They're kind of cowering or pinned or something. Anything else here? It looks like the Greeks are largely ready to make attacks on the flanks. Pyrrhus's main line in the center has not advanced enough. He's putting it into dressing line, whatever. There's not much to hit in the center. What about the fort itself? How big an effect would that be? Well, he can cross them. There's no question there. But it's painful, and there's no real victory condition reason to go into the fort. There's a good reason to take the tower out, though. So that may be a major goal, is to remove the Scorpio from play. We got a couple losses here, which is going to amount to 10 cohesion points, since we're using the base value here. What do we need to get to? Romans have to go up to 135 to break. Pyrrhus looks like 95. So we're already 10 there. And really nothing's happened. Another couple turns like this and it's going to start looking bad for the Romans now. Alright. Well, let's see what happens. So as the Romans are almost completely deployed, I'm pulling them back onto the hill line. Into column, out of column, blah, blah, blah. But still, it isn't very far they have to move. So they're getting a stronger position here. We did a withdrawal with the cav to get it more in line with what we're actually deploying. I think that cav is toast, but it might as well not have it completely stuck out in the open. Alright, well, it's pretty much on to the Greeks. They've moved a little bit. They recovered some of the phalanxes up here, but otherwise they haven't gotten any actions yet because all the Roman leaders are poorer quality. Now Pyrrhus could have used his elite ability. He hasn't used it once this game yet. He just doesn't see a point to tipping his hand at any point. There's no advantage to going first yet, but that may start as the combat begins. Okay, so the end of another turn. The Cretan archers are having real trouble here. One of them routed away due to fire from the Scorpio. The other one's out of missiles from shooting at the controlling unit to no effect. Otherwise, everything's pretty much forming up here in the center, getting ready for that attack still. Where the cav were, well, the Romans lost another cav unit, or a cav unit, and that brings them up to 16 loss points total. On to another turn. Well, as we well know, legionary infantry isn't something to trifle with. Those phalanxes slammed in. They gave and took and whatever. The one up here routed because it was hitting too many. It was hitting two legionary units at once. The others had picked one at a time, which you can't always do, but because of the terrain defensively, it gave a more ragged line to the Romans. However, over here, where that heavy cav was positioned, one of the Roman cav had a couple of the heavies in its zone of control. It couldn't really fight its way out, but instead, the Roman infantry streamed down, smacked the cav that was stuck in the zone of controls, popped one over here, managed to drive another one off, and then the Roman cav came back and did a flank attack. This is the one that got driven off. Did a flank attack against one that was using organized withdrawal. Now, it lost and ended up routed, but still it did a decent amount of damage. So, we're seeing the Romans driving that threat off. Now, if they can get rid of that threat, that heavy cav, that exposes a flank completely to a legion that's capable of maneuvering on its own without a great threat. Over here, we need that anchoring of the fort, the hill, etc., because there's still cav and there's elephants over there. But once you allow the Roman infantry to maneuver freely and no longer threaten it with the cav, it's a different ballgame. And what we've got here is definitely a sign that even though cav should dominate the infantry overall, when the cav gets stuck fighting other cav, as it did, even when it has this numerical advantage, it can take some definite losses off that. Alright. And now we see the Romans charge off the hill, and they've driven several phalanxes back. We've got one destroyed. We've got javelined in the back as it was running. Definitely, this is looking really, really bad for the Imperials. Well, for all my talking about the legions not being able to be ignored, and they certainly can, it's not a good idea to forget about the heavy cav that the Greeks have either. These came swarming in and routed a whole line. 4 of them are broken now. 4 legion units are broken now. And, yes, heavy cav was lost, but the cost may end up being higher for the Romans in that assault forward. It looked like that line was breaking, but there were still a number of units that hadn't been activated yet, and being able to move Alexander into place, he was able to take them. All we got left is Pyrrhus now. I'm not sure what he's going to do. He's only got 2 activations. Certainly he's going to try to rally what he's got left here. Question is, can he do something with this line? Or does he want to press the attack? Or does he want to try to use his elephants and cav? Well, after Pyrrhus' turn, it's less clear that the Greeks are doing that terribly. Yeah, they've lost some ground here, but they managed to slam in, drive one of the Scorpios away, and Velites running away, smash here. They had their own route, but he can fix that fairly easily as long as he's in the area. Let's look at what the points are, because we got a lot of those Romans routed off the board. Points are, well, the Greeks took 7, 14, 21 points here, which seems pretty heavy, Oh! No, I'm sorry, make that 14 more, 35. Those phalanxes are worth double. This is... I like the other version of counting better, where all the numbers are right on the counters. It's just easier for me. Okay, so for the Romans we have 12, 18, 24, and I don't think the Scorpios count for anything. So they're up to a total of 40. And obviously the Greeks lost some ground on this turn, but I don't feel like their army is absolutely hosed. We've certainly broken things up quite a bit over here. I just ought to start thinking about shooting. Got a couple shots free there. Range is 2, 4, 5. 1 or 2s. Yeah, I got a hit on this calf, which is enough to route it. Well, there's something I didn't really have a chance to do anything about anyway. 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's what would have happened. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. I'm going to load this one up. And the battle's definitely engaged at this point. The only real question. So it's a tough battle because historically the Greeks attacked. The Romans drove them off, as appeared was happening here. The Romans counterattacked, got beaten, counterattacked again, and broke the Greek army. With the defensive terrain, it's kind of, gee, why should the Greeks attack? Well, this is always a problem in a historical scenario, and with these games, solitaire, it's pretty easy. I can just look at it and say, I'll try to play it out kind of historically. The Greeks had to attack, otherwise they wouldn't even be here, But the victory conditions for this scenario don't try to enforce that on you. The Romans have to come out, but the Greeks don't have to attack. And in fact, if the Romans didn't have to come out, this would be very, very difficult to defeat the fortified encampment. And let's say they do, let's say they didn't want to take that on. Well, that's exactly why they're here. They're doing this surprise. They were trying to get surprise and attack at night. They got caught. And it's just not it's not a situation that even what they were trying to do necessarily made a lot of sense. If they had been able to attack the fort, the Romans still would have been aware quickly enough that they would have been able to defend it well. And it's certainly harder to attack the fort, I think, than to attack the hill outside the fort. All right, up this one goes.